Yankees in need of a rally. The great quarterback shuffle continues. And question, can you spell Ramsey without Rams?
Short answer, no. More to follow.
Hello and welcome to MCTV Sports. I'm Connor Kirkpat.
And I'm underdressed.
So we're going to kick off today with talking about Jalen Ramsey, who is now a member of the Los Angeles Rams. What do you think about that move?
Well, I think it's a move for the Rams. It shows that they're going all in. They're 3-3. They're committed to building with this team. They want to win with this team, and they're mortgaging the future for the now. Yeah,
and for sure, they were one of the teams that I did not expect to go out and grab Jalen Ramsey. You know, a lot of the talk was Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs, who I actually thought they were going to get him. Oakland Raiders, who I was hoping were going to get him because I am an Oakland Raiders fan. But I feel as though the Rams really bought into it, especially by trading Marcus Peters, who I think is a good number two at the cornerback position. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's a questionable move, especially with Aqib Talib going on the IR. They're really just moving Peters for Ramsey, and I think it's a little bit of an upgrade. But at the same time, you're really giving up 2 first-round picks and a 4th for a slight upgrade at corner, when I think most of their problems really come on offense.
Right, and I think, who do you think won the trade, to be honest? I think it's the Jags.
I would say the Jaguars also won the trade. I think they have something here with Minshew, and whether Foles comes back and becomes good or Minshew stays that guy, I think either way the Jags with future picks are going to be fine.
And let me ask you a question. Just bringing up Minshew, to go off that. Minshew or Foles, who would you start and who do you trust if you were the coach of the Jaguars?
I think down the line, it's really going to depend on where the Jaguars are at in terms of winning. They're 2-4 right now. So if Minshew can continue to win games, I think you roll with the hot hand. If not, you paid Foles all that money. You got to get him back on the field at one point.
For sure, yeah. The money is definitely going to be something that is a part of it, definitely. And one thing I want to say is that, you know, looking on, does this open doors for other players who want to not be on their team anymore?
I think it's something we've never really seen in the NFL. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch. We saw Antonio Brown kind of do a similar thing where he forced his way out of Oakland, it seemed. It seemed like long-term he always wanted to be with the Patriots. So this might be a theme that's developing. It's making the NFL almost like the NBA in a way.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely something that is really, really big in the NBA is the whole, if I don't want to be here, I want to leave. You know, we saw Russell Westbrook do it this year, going to the Rockets. He kind of forced his way out, right? And I think that for these NFL players, you know, Le'Veon Bell did it as well. I think it's something that they are going to continue to do because they're gonna want that money. Khalil Mack did it as well, you know, all those players. And I think that a lot of these young players coming up are going to see it and say, hey, I could do that too for the money.
Yeah, I think we might be getting to a point where, I mean, it's harder to have a super team in the NFL, but, I mean, you're talking about Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the same team. Those are 2 of the best defensive players in football. It's almost like we're having super teams now in the NFL, which is kind of scary to think about in comparison to the NBA where you saw what KD did with the Warriors. I mean, it really started way back with LeBron and the Heat, but we might be getting to the beginning of super teams in the NFL.
For sure, for sure. Also, what I want to bring up is, do you think that it's much more credible for a player to force their way off of a team if it's a position like running back where you have a very short lifespan in the NFL?
I think running back is one of the most unique positions in all of sports. I mean, we're talking about guys who, when they're 28, 29 years old, are already considered old. I mean, it's totally different from anything else. Those guys, they want to sit out, they want to get paid, and they want their guaranteed money immediately because one hit could derail their entire career. It's totally different from anything else.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And moving on to some more stuff in the NFL, Marcus Mariota, right? Former first-round pick Marcus Mariota, or second-round pick, excuse me.
Second overall pick.
Second overall pick, yeah. First round, second overall pick. He's getting benched for Ryan Tannehill.
To me, this is more of a move. It's not saying that we really believe in Ryan Tannehill. It's, Marcus, you haven't played well. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 2 weeks. He got benched against Denver in the second half after failing to throw for 100 yards. They sit him down. I think we're at the point where it's really about Marcus Mariota possibly never not being the guy any longer in Tennessee. I mean, we're talking about over 4 years of just mediocre football.
Yeah.
And I think we're at the point where the Titans have to start considering their next quarterback.
And what's interesting to me is that I feel as though the Titans had a lot of pieces that they could use. They have a pretty good offensive line. Derrick Henry, who's a really good back, and Marcus Mariota, who I think is a good quarterback. But I think for whatever reason, the pieces weren't clicking and the coaching couldn't take advantage of that. What do you think?
I think Marcus Mariota has never been on a team with an offensive-minded coach. Mike Vrabel right now is the head coach. He's very defensive-minded. He came from the Bill Belichick tree. And we're talking about Marcus Mariota never really being in that situation. In college, he played under Chip Kelly at Oregon. That was something that really benefited him, and that's something that got him drafted so high. Yeah. and he's never had that in the NFL. So maybe if it doesn't work out for Tennessee for him, there's somewhere else he could go. But it seems like his career in Tennessee is coming to an end.
Right, and to go off of the whole first and second round pick thing that we were mentioning before, Jameis Winston. All right, he's another quarterback he was taken before Marcus Mariota, but same draft, and he's looking at the possibility of not playing anymore for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what do you think about that? Two guys back to back. I was never wowed by Jameis Winston's performance, but now it's getting to be a lot worse. And he'll have a game where he goes for 500 yards like he did in what opponent were they playing in that game? Do you remember?
When he threw for 500 yards, was that against the Giants?
I believe so, yeah, against the Giants, yeah. And
then he goes and throws 5 picks in London. It's the peaks are much higher, the valleys are much lower for Jameis Winston. They brought in an offensive coach in Bruce Arians, so I don't know if they're going to give up on him right away. They might give him a little bit more time, but the clock's certainly ticking in Tampa Bay.
For sure, I would definitely agree with that. Now, moving on to a different sport, MLB playoffs. It's the big news right now. They got a lot of stuff going on in the MLB. First of all, Nationals swept the Cardinals. I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, I was watching that game, see them go up 7-0, just like that. I mean, it was pretty crazy to see. The Cardinals gave them a little bit of a run, but to go to the World Series after losing Bryce Harper, after everything that team's been through, Anthony Rendon has been tremendous for them. He's going to get paid this offseason. What are your thoughts on the Nationals?
Well, my thoughts on the Nationals are they're definitely hot right now. I don't know if they're a team that can beat the Astros or the Yankees, but they're really hot right now, and their pitching has been really hot right now. Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg have been absolutely killing it, And I think that as a team to come together after what happened with Bryce Harper, and make a push like this through the playoffs, coming from the wild card and going straight through, I think it's going to be hard to slow them down, just for the pure fact that they're not necessarily that they're an amazing team, but for the fact that they are just hot right now.
Yeah, I think their offense looks better than both of the AL teams right now, but maybe that's because the pitching in the NL isn't as great.
True.
But if they end up playing Houston, who's up 2-1 right now, we'll get to that a little bit later.
For sure.
That offense going up against Greinke and Verlander and Cole, we'll see. That could be a real matchup to watch.
Make or break.
Yeah.
I feel like it can make or break this team. But I see this team, the Nationals, only on the upward swing for the next couple of years anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as long as they retain Rendon, who's really been the star for them. I really don't see a reason why they would fall off.
Right, for sure. Now let's move on to the Yankees and Astros series. The game got postponed tonight. They were supposed to play game 4 tonight. And now it's moving on, and it's that they have to play Thursday and Friday at the Yankee Stadium, and then Saturday and Sunday in Houston. How do you think that changes the whole platform and for both teams heading into this playoff series, like preparation-wise? You're going to have pitchers who are a little bit more rested now than they would have been. For example, they're starting Verlander, I believe, game 5 now?
Yeah, on Friday, Verlander's going to start. Greinke's starting tomorrow. I think it's a big disadvantage for the Yankees. They're a team that relies on offense. Houston obviously had the starting pitching matchup anyway coming into the series, and the fact that Greinke gets an extra day rest, Verlander gets an extra day rest, they got to find a way to beat Greinke, Verlander, Cole. They got to beat 2 of them. They got to win 3 of the next 4. And that's going to be really tough for the Yankees with the way they're starting pitching. It hasn't looked great. Right.
They are starting Tanaka, who, out of all the pitchers that they've had so far, has looked the best in the postseason. He's usually very good in the postseason. But yeah, for sure, I'm very worried about the Yankees heading into these next 3 days, maybe just only 2 days. You never know. But for sure, yeah, I think that the Yankees have a chance to beat Justin Verlander. I think they definitely have a chance to beat Zach Greinke.
They really did.
Exactly. And I think that they definitely have a chance to beat Verlander, considering that they got 2 runs on him in game 2. What do you think about that?
I mean, the Yankees offense, they've put hits together. The problem is they just can't find that big hit to score runs. So many times they got to Garrett Cole in game 3. Multiple times they had bases loaded, but all with 2 outs, and they could never get that one hit to push him out of the game, push him over the edge. He worked himself out of so many jams, and that's something that the Yankees starting pitchers haven't been doing.
Right, and being a playoff team, you can't expect to go to the World Series when you have 2+ guys on base and not bring them in to score.
It's tough. It seems like Gleyber Torres is really the only one who's coming up with big hits consistently.
Definitely.
They need some of those guys to step up. Gary Sanchez has been non-existent.
Gary Sanchez is terrible.
Playoffs.
I'm a bit of a Gary Sanchez hater. I'm not big on Gary Sanchez. He's never there in the clutch situations.
And
never there.
He's not playing defense very well at this point.
Nope.
A lot of pass balls. Saw back-to-back the other night. I mean, the Yankees, they're putting all this faith in their offense, and it's really just not coming up for them. And Houston's starting pitching is capitalizing on it.
Also, it doesn't help that you have Encarnacion, who's got, I think, a 77 batting average right now, and then you also have Giancarlo Stanton injured. Okay, that doesn't help either. You have Aaron Hicks there, who's finally back, but the whole thing is all messed up. Aaron Boone doesn't really know how to manage a pitching rotation as well. I think that's a big problem for the Yankees, especially that they didn't get an ace either before the trade deadline. But I think that's really the stuff that's holding them back in this playoff series.
Yeah, I mean, Greinke's the guy they should have went out and got, and he ended up in Houston. Aaron Boone's just looked outmatched by A.J. Hinch. He's yanking guys early. CC Sabathia came in, pitched to one batter, and they pulled him. He's using way too many pitchers, and I think he really, at a certain point, just needs to slow it down.
Right, and I think a bit of the problem is, too, that they've had Chad Green go in, and Chad Green has looked good. And then they switch him out for Ottavino, who's another righty. And Ottavino looks terrible. He's looked terrible both playoff series.
Yeah, Ottavino's hanging a lot of pitches. Green has looked great. He looked like he did a few years ago when he was debatably one of the best relievers in baseball. I mean, Aaron Boone just needs to really figure it out, and A.J. Hinch just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and Houston's going to win this series. For
sure. And I don't know if you've heard this, but apparently there was something where Severino positions his head a certain way in a certain direction depending on the pitch he's going to throw. So the Astros knew this and they studied this, and that's why there was a lot of pitches that they didn't swing at that they normally would have swung at. This is Alex Rodriguez said this after in the postgame, but I think it's certainly interesting because I also heard that the Yankees dugout was very annoyed because they kept hearing like whistling depending on Severino's head position to like signal like, oh, he's going to throw this, he's going to throw that. But I think that's kind of unfair in a way, but it's up to Aaron Boone also to be like, Sevy, listen, we're going to have to fix what you're doing because you can't be having that. It's going to give up the whole game as it did.
Yeah, definitely. Severino's had a problem in the past with tipping pitches, and you're right. A-Rod's the one who's always been so adamant about it.
Right.
And he really, when he gets locked in, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
For
but
sure.
He has this tendency to just lose himself a little bit, lose focus. And guys like Alex Bregman, who is very intelligent, one of the smartest players in baseball, he's the one picking up on it. He's informing his teammates. They're getting pitch sequences, and they're getting them right a majority of the time. And that's been a big edge for the Astros. People often forget about the tactical part of baseball at times, and the Astros are absolutely dominating in this series.
For sure, definitely. Now to mention something else, let's go to LeBron James. All right, he had a comment this week where, well, it all began with what's going on with China right now, China and Hong Kong. That Hong Kong is fighting back against China because they want their own individual freedom. And LeBron, the owner of the Rockets,
Daryl Morey?
Yes, he commented that he was in support of Hong Kong and he was against China. Obviously, there's a huge NBA fan base in China, right? And the NBA didn't like this, but also China did not like it. And there was a lot of things going on because the NBA, I think, was playing in China at this point.
Yes, they were.
Yes, right. And a lot of the sales and stuff cut down because of that. Well, the other day, LeBron went on and said, well, I think Daryl Morey was uneducated on this situation. And because of that, the people in Hong Kong were burning jerseys, LeBron James jerseys in the streets. And a lot of people were annoyed at LeBron because they were saying that he was supporting China in this whole situation. But that was just something I wanted to throw in there just to educate those who didn't know about it because I think it's something that is important. I think he's gone on today to apologize and all of that. But it was definitely something that made the rounds the other day.
Yeah, I think it just really shows the power of what one tweet, what one statement can do. It was nearly $1 billion loss to the NBA. I mean, just on one comment from one of the most popular athletes in the world, It really just shows the impact that athletes like LeBron have, and using their platform correctly can sometimes be very dangerous.
Right, yeah, definitely, for sure. Well, that's what we've got. That's the sports news from MCTV Sports. I'm Connor.
I'm Matt.
And we'll be seeing you.